Well, hi guys, it's Aubrey in Wonderland, and I'm back. It's been 1 week since my surgery, and I'm feeling pretty good. Those of you who I'm in contact with on Facebook know I've kind of had a hard week, and I will get to that in just a minute. First I'll let you know, I'll just kind of go through the stats or whatever. My high weight was 288. I started the pre-op process at 272. The day of surgery I was 255, and today I am 246.5. So yeah, a 8.5 pound loss, 9 pound loss. Feeling pretty awesome about that. I did gain 6 pounds in the hospital, but literally like the day after I got home, I was back down under that, under my surgery day weight. So, okay, so let's just go through what happened. I had a complication. I ended up going in on Easter. I was planning on going to church with my family, and so the night before when I went to bed, I thought, oh, yeah, I can do that. I can do church. That was the plan when we all went to bed that night, and then I got up in the morning and I just did not feel good. It was 5 days of always having to get up around 3 o'clock in the morning. I was going to bed around 11 or midnight. I know I couldn't do a full night in bed, and so I didn't really rush off to bed always the night before, and then I'd end up getting up around 3 o'clock in the morning, just feeling like like someone had been sitting on my chest or something, just not being able to get a full breath, not feeling good. My chest was hurting. By about the 3rd day out of the hospital, I was not feeling the need for any kind of pain medication at all, except for the pain in my chest. And if you watch my last video that I did that was just after I got out of the hospital, you can watch at the beginning. I feel really good, I'm energetic. By the end of the video, I'm like, felt awful. So Sunday morning when I got up, I felt really awful. Couldn't really breathe. My family left for church. I felt okay enough where, you know, I didn't say stay home or anything. I didn't feel like they needed to stay home or anything. And then a friend of mine, I was texting with a friend of mine, letting her know kind of how I was feeling and stuff. And she seemed really concerned. She said, I think you should call your doctor. So I really hesitated because here it was Easter Day, and I didn't, you know, I don't know, but I, you know, was convinced, and I called him, and he said, I think you should go into urgent care. It sounds possibly like pneumonia or something to that effect. So I went into urgent care. They did a chest x-ray, and they discovered that my left lung was partially collapsed. And so they spoke with my surgeon, and my surgeon recommended that they send me over to the emergency room, and the emergency room could do like a some sort of a treatment to get the lung back going the way it was supposed to be. So I went and I waited in the emergency room, waiting room, for 3 hours. Not just 3 regular hours, 3 post-op hours. So it had been all day now. I had some pain medication at 6 in the morning. It was about 1 or 2 in the afternoon. I hadn't had any more. I was sitting straight up in one of those waiting room chairs. There was nowhere where I could lay down or something and kind of get the stress off of my tummy area. I couldn't breathe. And the more I couldn't breathe, the more I would start to panic, and so I would have these like a panic attack. I would start crying, and then my chest would be heaving, and then I couldn't breathe more, which would make me panic more, and it was just a nightmare. So I finally got back into the ER area. And once I got back there, it was like lickety split. They were taking care of me, man. It was no problem. It's just getting back there that's the problem. So what they ended up doing was putting a tube in my chest. And because what they needed to do, the reason I had a collapsed lung is that I had fluid gathering in my chest cavity on the left side, outside of the lung. The ER doctor said something about a leak in the lung that was allowing air, and then also fluid was gathering. They're not really sure what that was all about, but fluid was gathering there as well. And so when I would breathe out, and your lung will naturally collapse every time you breathe out, and then that air and water would fill in that space, so then my lung could no longer reinflate back. So they needed to put in a drain in my chest to drain out that fluid and air. And it was like a one-way valve or something, so that the air and fluid would drain out, and that created the space for my lung to reinflate properly. So I did that, they had to put me through a CT scan and do the insertion of the tube with help and guidance of the CT scan. So they kind of had me in the CT machine, and they had me I had pain meds in my IV. You can see my lovely bruise there. I had pain meds in my IV, but just enough to kind of take the edge off, because they needed me to cooperate when they would say, okay, take a deep breath, hold it, okay, let your breath out, okay, take another deep breath. They couldn't risk having me completely out of it. So, and then they also did some local injections where they were putting the tube in. The tube was like the size of I don't know, maybe like a juice box straw. And so they had that inserted, and I was really worried I was going to have this like big scar on my boob, because I already have, ugly scarred up stomach, and at least I had where I could wear not a super low cut shirt. But anyway, it ended up being, there's this tiny little mark, and it's just above my bra line. I don't think it's going to be a huge deal, and I don't usually wear low cut shirts anyway, but anyway, so the pain during the process was not horrible. It was after. So what started it was that I had to get myself off of the CT scanner and back onto the gurney. So I'm shimmying and lifting and pushing. It's just crazy how they're like, don't lift 10 pounds for 2 weeks. Okay, get your 250-pound body back over to this gurney. Have fun with that. And the pain was just so intense. It was horrible. It was horrible. I wouldn't wish that on anybody. And I don't know why I had such a hard time with it. I usually can handle pain pretty well. When I got back to the room, they had to give me, they gave me 4 separate doses of Dilaudid before I was able to calm down enough. Like, I was in enough pain where I was hysterical. But every little teeny tiny movement I made was making the pain worse. So when I was sobbing and breathing in and out, it was just making the pain worse and worse. So they finally got that under control. And I went home that night. They went back and forth as to whether to keep me overnight. Honestly, the reason they didn't is because they only had 2 more beds for the night. And they just weren't sure who else was all going to come in. And I had people at home, and I was stable and all that. So I said, I just want to go home. But it was still really, really painful. So the next morning, I had to go back in for another chest x-ray to see how I was doing. And I was doing so well. The lung was reinflated completely. I was feeling good. My oxygen was good. Everything was good. But the port was still super, super tender and painful. I was mostly just sleeping and holding extremely still. Even to get up and go to the bathroom was really, really, really difficult. So they shut off the port, had me come back in an hour re-x-rayed me, and the lungs still looked really good. So at that time they took the thing out. So it did not hurt that bad to have it taken out. They just basically hold it down and zip it out. And it hurt for like a millisecond, but it wasn't that bad. The second that thing came out, man, I felt so good. I was like, yeah, let's go, we're good. I haven't had any pain medication since yesterday morning. My stomach area looks great. As far as the ER said, my sutures, not sutures, but my incisions all look really good. My gut feels really good. I'm not having any kind of complications with the RNY side of it. This was just a lung complication that I could have had I had any type of surgery at all. I need to talk to my surgeon. I go in for a follow-up tomorrow. I'll find out more about why that happened with my lung. Like, did he nick it? Did something go wrong? Is this just something that happens sometimes? I don't really know at this point. But I am feeling good. I'm not on any medications. I'm getting my liquids in. The day I went to the ER, I didn't have anything because that was another part of my, pre-op 3 hours versus regular ER 3 hours waiting in the waiting room. Or I mean post-op 3 hours. They said don't eat or drink anything because they still weren't sure at that point if they were taking me back into surgery or not. So I couldn't eat or drink anything for, I think, 7 hours when I was already only operating on, 500 calories the day before and liquids only and stuff like that. So, but I am feeling really good. Getting enough protein in has been a problem today. I just don't feel hungry. I would love something to eat, something I can chew on. My husband heated a casserole that I had pre-made last night, had hamburger in it as a shepherd's pie. And I took a chunk of hamburger like that and I put it in my mouth and I chewed it up really, really, really good. And I spit it out. I just tasted the flavors of it, and I know I'm a rule breaker. I'm trying really hard to stick to my promise to myself that I will stick to this 3-week liquid diet. I'm honestly afraid to have anything else. I don't want to mess anything up, and I'm feeling really good. So I'm going to try to get that protein in. I'm trying to get more creative instead of just drinking my, vanilla shake, chocolate shake, vanilla shake, chocolate shake. I got to get my stuff out and do my sugar-free hazelnut and my, kind of mix my chicken protein in with my, chicken soup, chicken noodle soup stuff, and strained, of course. So I'm going to try and get creative, but, today's the first day I've showered and blow dried my hair. First makeup in 7 days. So that's when I'm feeling better, is I finally care about this. So anyway, good to see you guys. Thanks for listening. I'm feeling really good. Thank you all so much for your well wishes and for voicing concern over me and being in contact when I wasn't doing so great, but I'm feeling good now, and so thank you. I'll talk to you guys later. Bye.